Two men disguised as HOA inspectors went door to door, preying on unsuspecting homeowners, intimidating them, tricking them, and robbing them blind. It was a flawless scam until one day they knocked on the wrong door. Overconfident in their deception, they tried to push their way inside, flashing fake badges, using phony authority, believing they had total control. But what they didn't know, the man standing behind that door wasn't just any homeowner. He was a federal agent, and their little con was about to explode in the worst way imaginable. You won't believe how justice was served. It all started with a knock. Not the light, lazy tap of a delivery driver dropping off a package. Not the hesitant knock of a kid selling fundraiser chocolates. No, this was different. 3 sharp, commanding pounds against the wood. Loud enough to shake the windows. The kind of knock that didn't ask for permission, but demanded compliance. Daniel Carter, standing in his kitchen, paused mid-sip of his morning coffee. His grip on the mug tightened. Too early. Too early for visitors. Too early for anything. His first thought? Maybe it was his neighbor, Mrs. Calloway, back again to complain about his truck being too close to her mailbox. Or maybe it was that one guy, the lawn fanatic, the self-appointed neighborhood enforcer, always looking for a reason to lecture about proper community standards. But then came the voice. Homeowners Association inspection. Open up. Daniel's entire body stiffened. Those words didn't sit right. HOA? He didn't even live in an HOA. That was the whole reason he bought this house. To avoid power-hungry rule enforcers nitpicking over his trash bin placement or the color of his shutters. No ridiculous fines. No neighborhood busybodies dictating what he could and couldn't do. Yet somehow, these guys thought they had the authority to inspect his home. Something was wrong. Setting his mug down with a quiet clink, Daniel moved cautiously toward the front door, careful not to cast a shadow across the sidelight window. Years of training had drilled one thing into his mind: observe before engaging. He peered through the peephole. 2 men stood on the porch, dressed identically in navy blue polos embroidered with HOA inspector in thick white stitching. Khaki pants, badges clipped to their belts. But those badges, something about them looked off. Too shiny, too cheap. The kind of thing you'd order from a website that also sells prank diplomas and fake doctor's notes. Daniel's sharp eyes scanned them. The taller one, Blondie, stood stiffly, arms crossed, mirrored sunglasses concealing his eyes, like he was playing a role he wasn't quite sure how to sell. The shorter one, Mustache, had a broader stance, chest puffed, exuding false aggression, as if daring someone to challenge him. Daniel didn't open the door. The HOA has no authority here. His voice was calm, firm. A pause. A flicker of uncertainty. Blondie turned his head slightly toward Mustache, waiting for backup. Then, in a smooth, rehearsed tone, he responded, "Sir, this is a mandatory home inspection. We need to verify compliance with neighborhood safety regulations." Daniel nearly laughed. Safety regulations? What regulations? Another pause. This time, Mustache stepped forward, lowering his voice as if a deeper tone might make him more convincing. "Sir, you can either open the door or will be forced to enter under the authority of the HOA Security Division." And there it was. The moment a petty scam crossed a line into something far more dangerous. Most people would have panicked. Maybe crack the door open, ask questions, let these frauds step inside just enough to seize control. But Daniel, he wasn't most people. He was a federal agent. And what they had just done, that was attempted illegal entry under false authority. His voice steady, Daniel asked, "You got a warrant?" Silence. Blondie's grip tightened on his arms. Mustache blinked too many times in a row. A weak scoff followed. "Sir, we don't need a warrant under HOA bylaws." Click. The sound of the lock disengaging sent a wave of tension through the air. In one swift motion, Daniel swung the door open. The fake inspectors froze. And for the first time, Daniel got a clear look at them. More importantly, they got a very clear look at him. Not a confused homeowner. Not an elderly retiree they could bully. But a federal agent, badge in one hand, gun on his hip, expression unimpressed. For a second, nobody moved. The weight of their mistake sank in. Mustache's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard, fingers twitching at his sides. Blondie's mirrored sunglasses couldn't hide the fact that his eyes had gone wide. Panic flickered in their expressions, the unmistakable look of two men trying to calculate their next move. Talk their way out? Run? Mustache lifted his hands slightly, not surrendering, just hedging his bets. "This is a misunderstanding," he stammered. "We're just conducting a safety check." Daniel took a slow, deliberate step forward. Blondie instinctively stepped back, just a small movement, but enough. His back met the porch railing, cutting off any easy escape route. You know impersonating an official is a federal crime, right? Daniel's voice was steady, factual. Blondie licked his lips. A nervous tell. "Sir, we're just—" "Where'd you get the badges?" Daniel cut in. Blondie's mouth snapped shut. Mustache shifted uneasily. Too much hesitation. Too much thinking. Liars always overthink their next sentence. Click. The sound of metal snapping filled the air as Daniel reached for his handcuffs. And that's when everything changed. Mustache's hand shot toward his waistband. Weapon. Daniel didn't hesitate. His gun was out, aimed, before Mustache's fingers even brushed the grip. "Don't." The word wasn't a warning. It was an order, a command. And Mustache? He froze. A moment of unbearable silence stretched between them. Then clatter. The gun hit the wooden porch. 15 minutes later, the front yard was swarming with squad cars, flashing lights illuminating the scene as officers moved efficiently, rounding up the two fraudsters. The scam was over. The con men were done. Weeks later, in a courtroom thick with tension, a judge's gavel came down with finality. 15 years. Blondie's breath hitched. Mustache sagged in defeat. No plea deal. No escape. Just the weight of justice, delivered with the same force as the knock that had started it all. Daniel smirked, arms crossed. They're the ones who got unlucky.